Yo, let's go and welcome to the video. Today I wanted to talk about tanking Kiggler and how to still do DPS and get over a 90 parse. So if you're struggling doing damage or not comfortable with your parse and your guild's asking you to step it up a notch, these tips might help you get to that point. So this is video of my last high king attempt. If I play this here, you can see where I position before we pull, kind of straight in front of Kiggler. I'll even move a little further over there. We've got a strategy to change it up a little bit next week that might help us have a faster kill time. This kill time was 31 seconds. So we go off of a mage. Mage casts Pyroblast and pulls his ad over there. Real quick, we can see how much spell power I have. So I've got 1379 spell power with Flask, Food Buff, and Weapon Oil, and I'm in range of the Shaman Totem. After looking at this, I realized I was never in range of the other Wrath Totem, the crit and hit totem, so that could have helped me a little bit more, but I was at least in range of the Spell Power Totem. I'll have to check with the Shaman, see if he can move his totems over a little bit further, a little closer to where the bosses are tanked. And 24.37% crit, so if I had that totem it'd be at 27, and then we get 4 from talents, so we're at 31.36% crit for Starfire, and then with the Destro pot up it adds 2% more crit, so 1 in 3 cast should at least be critting, but for the parse, the more crits the higher your DPS, so hopefully RNG is in your favor. You get a higher crit on this fight than 30 or 40%. If you're getting 50, 60 plus, that's when you're going to have a nice parse. Got our pull timer going, our mage is over there about to cast. I do have a earth shield on from a shaman to help prevent the spell pushback a little bit, and also the priest shield right before the pull. First couple casts on me should be absorbed to help me not get spell pushback. But our strategy for the next week is for all the casters to pre-cast, so I'm gonna have to run up in position and hopefully not pull. We haven't tried it before, hopefully it works. The Shadow Priest, Mindsu's hiking, and then the casters are gonna run up and all pre-cast. So I will pre-cast on Kiggler our next attempt with Starfire, but for this attempt I'm running up moon firing, and then I have hiking on my focus. So you can either set up a macro to fairy fire your focus, but I just click on him, fairy fire, I click back to Kiggler, cast 1 Starfire. I did pop my unused trinket, the icon, right here, but because I was a little nervous of the threat, I hadn't done it this way before. I'm gonna save my trinket one more global, or one more spell, and instead of using it for that Starfire, use it right here, and have a little bit more, like 1 extra cast on High King with my trinket up. So you can see we're all at least like 30 yards away from Kiggler, so he shouldn't drop aggro. The only way someone's going to get aggro is if they get into that 30-yard range, or somehow they mistargeted and are damaging him instead. So I've got the Destro pot up, I've got my trinket up, and you can see I'm critting for over 7k, and High King is just melting. And once High King goes down, we can look at my threat back on Kiggler. So the threat, I've got 8.6k. The closest is a healer, the healers, and the Shadow Priest with only 1.5k. So threat really isn't that crazy from like healer aggro or anything else like that. So if we do get to precast and I Starfire, I'll Moonfire him, I think, and then Fairy Fire, Trinket, Destro Pot on High King. We kill the ads afterwards, but that doesn't count towards your parse. So the main things is having Heroism, your Destro Pot, and any trinkets that you have, your unused trinket. If you have any procs, if those procs are up, you can wait until the proc comes, like Quag's Eye, or your like crafted tailoring if you have those pieces. You wait for that proc to come up, and then Destro Pot and unused, you have that stack everything with each other. Don't have drums in our group, so drums would help improve that even more. Just make sure that you're in range of your totems. Again, I wasn't in range of the crit hit totem. That could have helped me out. So it's always good to go back and look at your your own logs, or if you record your fights, look at your fights and see, make sure that you're in range of totems, and try to find other ways that you can improve your DPS. So here's what it looks like on the Warcraft logs, like my positioning. My shaman is right over here, but he probably dropped his totems back here where this healer is, and I was just out of range. So he's in range, he's fine. Doesn't realize that I'm this far away. So I'll see if he can maybe pop his totems like back here before we pull, and hopefully that puts me in range. So I had a 97 Parse with just over 1500 DPS. I did have a little bit of spell pushback, if you saw towards the end of the fight here. Kiggler's hitting me with his spells, pushing it back a little there, pushing it back there. So the earth shield's kind of hit or miss, but definitely try to get that if you can. Another way would be if you have celestial focus, even if it's just for this fight, and then you just respect for the other fights because it's not going to help you too much. That would be another way to help that spell pushback from happening and let you get an extra cast or two off. So that main burst phase there on hiking just carries over to every other raid fight. So you want to have heroism, drums, trinkets, procs, and your destro pot all rolling at the same time if possible. So for Gruul, just whenever your heroism is called for in your fight, it's usually like right after shatter phase. So if it's after the first shatter and you get back to your spot, make sure you're in range of your totems, and then pop your trinkets and destro pot. For mag, you want to do it during the cube phase, of course, when everybody is clicking the cube. So depending on how long your fights are taking, you can pop like an unused trinket and even a destro pot at the beginning for the first 5 adds, and it should be back up by the time that you're in a cube phase. You might have to use a mana pot for the first potion that you take. That's fine, just as long as you have your destro pot and trinket available during the cube phase. If your group does heroism for first cube phase, pop your trinket early, pop your destro pot a couple seconds early while everyone's moving to their positions, but it's a 10-second cube cast and a 15-second destro pot. So you have 5 extra seconds to cast it beforehand to make sure it's a full 10 seconds, and hope that nobody clicking dies or interrupts their cast early, so you can get as many casts off in that 10 seconds as possible. You should be critting for 10, 12, 13k. It's really insane. It's super fun. So just make sure during that whatever phase, cube phase, has heroism up for your group, have those available. If you're tanking Kiggler, hope those tips help you out. If you do the fight similar to ours, might have to modify it if you guys have a different strategy on tank position and whatnot. And hopefully the tips for Gruul and Mag help out as well. Doing TK and SSC hopefully this week, and might make a video with some tips on some of those bosses if we get a chance to attempt them. Check back next week, and I'll see you then.